In this video, we will explore how to define the geometry for a turning job in SolidCAM. Let's start by defining a turning job. First thing that the user is prompted to do in the job is to define a geometry. Geometry for turning can either be wireframe or solid. Wireframe relies on sketches, and on the other hand, solid relies on 3D model. Let's start by using wireframe. Create a new geometry. And on the left side, the first thing to do is to define a name. We can say that our geometry will be called contour 3. Then we have configurations. Since our part has only one configuration and it's a default one, we will stick with it. Below, we have a chain list. Once we define our geometry, here we will see all of our chains that we have picked. And below here, we have options to select our chains. As we already mentioned, wireframe geometry is picked from sketches, so you can either use target envelope, stock envelope, or some custom sketches that you have defined in the model. Now let's explore the options to define the chains. There is an option called curve, and you have sub-options that allow you to create more easily your chain. We will use first up to entity. Let's pick this line as our starting one. And look at this. If I pick a line near this end, I will have an arrow pointing in a different direction. Okay? I will now decline this and try to pick it near this end. As you can see, my arrow of direction is now pointing in another direction. So, depending on where you pick the line, you will have your direction. So let's start from here. Pick this line as our first one, and we will say up to entity, up to this entity. What it will do, we'll go along the way and pick all the lines that are connected. Okay, now we can go and accept this chain, and you can see this direction. If you want your tool to go in another direction, you can go right click on your chain and reverse it. Now you can see the direction of the chain is reversed. Now let's delete this chain and let's try some other options. You can try tangent propagation, but in this case, tangent propagation will do the same thing as we did with the up to entity. It will go along the way and pick all the tangent and connected lines that are in the sketch. Constant Z doesn't really make much sense for the turning jobs, but it's there because the user interface is same and very similar to the one from the milling jobs. Next option would be curve with close corners. Let's try and pick from this line up to this one. What it will do, it will close this gap. And what is the difference between the curve plus close corners and curve? I will pick now curve and say from here to here is that curve will pick along the way all the lines. It will not close the gap. For example, I'm using the curve up to here, but I can combine now. I can say from point to point, and I can pick next point and pick another chain, or let's say in the same chain, another line for my geometry. So I can combine multiple options of defining my geometry. Let's go and reject this chain and show the last option, which is arc by points. So you can define also an arc by using 3 points. First, second, and third point. Here is my arc. Then I can go from point to point. I can say this one and maybe this one. And this would be my geometry. And these are all the options that you can use to generate your wireframe geometry for your turning job. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.